Okay, we are back in public session, and the recording is on. And I just want to confirm with the clerk's office that we still have the 4 members on the line. Okay. Ms. Allard, Mr. Weddleton, Mr. Rivera, and Mr. Peterson. And before we address the recording of the executive session, I want to note for the record that the body voted twice to extend the executive session. The first time, there was a motion to extend until noon, which was 10-0, and the second was a motion to extend indefinitely as needed, and that was also 10-0. Mr. Vice Chair, do you want to make a motion regarding the recording for the executive session?
Yes, I move that for the purpose of the recording, that the recording will not be released, that it is held indefinitely.
Second.
Okay, a motion has been made to not release the recording of the executive session, and it has been seconded. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair, this is Ms. Allard. I have a question.
Go ahead, Ms. Allard.
It is, and maybe I missed it. The emails that have been sent to us, will those also be included? The not to be FOIA'd, and they would be, compiled with an executive session, not to be released to the public as well.
Thank you, Ms. Allard, and thank you.
Sorry. Stop it out loud.
It is indeed a legal question regarding the emails. Would you address that again, Ms. Ennis?
To the extent they're part of the work.
Yeah, I apologize. I couldn't hear it. The other phone line was way more muffled than this one. I couldn't hear it clearly. I apologize.
And I was also being talked to, but I think I know what the question is.
Can you speak louder?
This is Dee Ennis, Deputy Municipal Attorney. To the extent the materials came in through this work session, or the executive session, they are part of the confidentiality, part of what Vice Chair Constant was talking about.
Thank you, Ms. Ennis. Ms. Allard, do you have any further questions?
I just meant, sorry.
Just for clarification. So all the emails that we received prior to in our executive session are still open to the public and to a FOIA request. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Steve? Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Allard. I don't see anyone else in the queue. Members may proceed to vote on the motion to not release the recording of the executive session.
Mr. Weddleton.
Yes.
Ms. Allard.
No.
Mr. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Rivera.
Yes.
Ms. Kennedy.
Yes.
Ms. LaFrance.
Yes.
Mr. Constant. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yes.
Mr. Dunbar.
Yes.
Mr. Francis.
Yes.
Ms. Quinn Davidson.
Yes.
The motion passes 9-1.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I just realized I gave my agenda to the clerk to be shredded. Oh, thank you, Mr. Jerez. Okay, the next item of business, we now have before us item 5A, Assembly Memorandum Number AM 651-2021A, Executive Appointment Confirmation Hearing, Joe Jerez, AHD Director. Postponed from the meeting of October 27, 2021 and October 28, 21 and November 9, 2021. Ms. Allard moved to approve. It was seconded by Ms. Kennedy. A motion to approve is on the floor. Is there any discussion?
I'll go ahead, Ms. Karen.
Ms. Quinn Davidson?
Thank you. just wanted to say thank you to Mr. Gerace. I think that we had a lot of really good conversation in executive session and a lot of, I think, respect for each other and trying to figure out what's going on here. And I just want to say again what I said in executive session, which is this is a really hard position to be in. I think it's really hard for Mr. Gerace. It's really hard for the folks who've come forward. And we're all keeping that heavy on our minds as we sort through all of the things we're hearing, which are many. So anyway, I just want the public to know there's a lot of information. We can't share it all, but I think we're working hard to try to do what's fair and what's best for the community.
Thank you, Ms. Quinn-Davidson. Mr. Perez-Verdia?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Couple things. First, I want to thank everyone who provided information on both sides. I think it's really important that the public and those who have knowledge about people who are in the confirmation process bring that forward. It's important for us and for the process. So I want to thank the people who did that. I also want to thank Mr. Gerace and his transparency and openness to discuss these in a very frank way, and his willingness to thank those that came forward, even those that spoke against him, because I think he's willing to listen to those as well. So I just want to thank him for his transparency and openness through this process. Finally, I just want to add to that this has been a difficult process, and I'm sorry that it has resulted in some really tense and challenging experiences and conversations. But it's very important that we do this right. And so, with that, I will just say that I am going to support this nomination. I think that that the information that we were given was important, and I've heard it. But at the end of the day, I feel like that Mr. Gerace is qualified for this job and should be confirmed. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Perez-Verdia. Ms. Allard?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Today we did a fact-finding mission, and through this process, I found that there was no actual real documentation, and I really support Joe. He has proven through these testimonies he's the person for the position. I appreciate the persons who came forward with their opinions. I also appreciate Joe and his family going through such a public proceeding and through the press as well. And I would just like to encourage my fellow assembly members to put this behind us, and let's confirm Joe, and let's move forward and get our city on the right track. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Allard. Seeing no one else in the queue, I'll put myself in the queue.
Mr. Brandt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And first off, thank you, Mr. Gerace, for, as other members have noted, your openness and participation in this process, which has been difficult and complicated. And I want to be very open that I am still absorbing information. I have not completed my process that I need to do to weigh everything. And I understand there is a desire to move forward. I will not be making a motion to postpone, but I wanted to also be open that I have not had time to absorb and process the discussion. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
Mr. Constant?
Thank you. So we've had no discussions about staff. And what's been clear since the beginning of this administration is that the staff at the department is working their tails off in a very difficult time, and they're craving leadership. And there have been some conversations, again, nothing we talked about today, about your fit to do that work. And so I think I tend with Mr. Presverdia to find that you are qualified, and I challenge you to, if confirmed, find a way to develop a relationship with your team. Because to me, and this is nothing against you, but to me they're more important than you are, right? The leaders come and go, but the people saving lives are the ones we need their hands on the job and feeling support. And so for me, my challenge to you if approved is to figure that out.
Ms. Quinn Davidson?
Thank you, Ms. LaFrance. I'll be voting no today. It's a really hard decision. I hope if you get confirmed, we will work well together because it's very difficult. But to receive, more than 10 individuals making very serious claims, I can't, in good conscience, move forward. I believe it's my duty to take each of those very different, spanning 3 different workplaces and men and women and all kinds of folks making really serious allegations. So, and not just some to leadership ability and directly about your ability to do this job. So I will be voting no, but I want you to know this process is hard, and I see many good qualities in you as well. And thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Quinn Davidson. Mr. Rivera?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I want to echo a lot of the comments my colleagues have made. This has been a very difficult process, probably the most difficult of any of the confirmations that we've had. And, we have gotten a lot of correspondence, a lot of emails, a lot of testimony on both sides of this issue. And I tend to think that there is truth on all sides, on the negative and the positive. So, this is difficult for me to weigh. And, as I've stated before, and I will continue to repeat, there are 2 criteria. There is qualifications, and I tend to agree with my colleagues that have spoken on this matter that you are qualified for this. But there is also, the do no harm aspect, and that is where I am carefully weighing how I will be voting. Somewhat like Ms. LaFrance, although I think I will be prepared to vote at the end of this session. There's so much that to mull over and to digest and to think about, and I wish I had more time, but I also don't want to put Mr. Gervais through any more of this process than is absolutely necessary. So look forward to the vote. However we vote today, if Mr. Gervais is approved, I look forward to hopefully not seeing any of the issues that were in some of the negative emails come up during Mr. Gervais's possible tenureship as the director. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rivera. Seeing no other members in the queue, members may proceed to vote on the motion to approve AM 651-2021A.
Mr. Weddleton?
Yes.
Ms. Allard?
Yes.
Mr. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
No.
Ms. Kennedy?
Yes.
Ms. LaFrance?
No.
Mr. Constant?
Yes?
Mr. Dunbar?
Yes.
Mr. Presverdia?
Yes.
Ms. Quinn Davidson?
No.
Madam Chair, the motion passes 7-3.
Thank you, Madam.
Madam Chair,
Ms. Eller, do you have a point of order or
I would like-
of information?
I would like to motion for immediate reconsideration, please.
Second. Okay. A motion has been made for immediate reconsideration by Ms. Allard and seconded by Ms. Kennedy. Seeing no members in the queue, and I just remind members that a yes vote would bring this item back before us now, and a no vote would not. Seeing no members in the queue, members may proceed to vote on the motion to reconsider AM 651 2021A.
Mr. Weddleton on the motion to reconsider.
No.
Ms. Allard.
No.
Mr. Peterson.
No.
Mr. Rivera.
No.
Ms. Kennedy.
No.
Ms. LaFrance.
No.
Mr. Constant.
No.
Mr. Dunbar.
No.
Mr. Perez-Verdia.
No.
Ms. Quinn Davidson.
No.
The motion to reconsider fails 10-0.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We had moved and voted on extending until we had taken up the business on the agenda. And the next item is audience participation. And if members don't object, I'll go ahead and open audience participation. I know we're over the time scheduled. Are there any members of the public who wish to participate? I don't see anyone here who would like to participate. We'll go ahead and move. We'll go next to assembly comments. I'll start with folks on the phone. Ms. Allard, do you have any comments before we adjourn?
No, Madam Chair, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Peterson, any comments?
Thank you, Madam Chair. No comment today.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson. Mr. Rivera, any comments?
Thank you, Madam Chair. No comment.
Mr. Weddleton, any comments?
No comment.
Thank you, Mr. Weddleton. I'll go around the room. Mr. Perez-Verdia?
No, Madam Chair, no comment.
Thank you. Ms. Kennedy?
Actually, just one brief comment. I'm just really appreciative of the process. I know it was difficult, but I just hope that everybody has a little less stressful things to think about this weekend. So, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Kennedy. Ms. Quinn Davidson? Mr. Dunbar?
Just urge everyone to stay safe on the roads this weekend.
Thank you.
So,
Mr. Constant?
Yes, the question was raised on behalf of staff, whether or not we would consider also postponing the work session on the alcohol tax for a week, and that would free us for the rest of the day. The weekend would be here. So,
I have a question about that.
Sure.
For a week, I mean, the budget
or until
amendments
next week, I should say.
are due next Friday, so I guess I would ask the chair, what are you planning in the alcohol tax session?
This is the first I've heard of, and I haven't been on my emails for a few hours, so I apologize if it, meeting manager's smiling. The request came earlier, so I have not had a chance to confer with the clerk's office on the schedule.
Sorry, I'm more meant, yeah, I guess the schedule's important too, but I'm wondering, like, as far as I know it, I don't think we've received a whole accounting of what, we know the money that came in for the alcohol tax, but exactly what was spent on what this year, I think that'd be a good thing to go from. So that's what I was hoping to talk about, which might inform amendments that we work on. Amendments, as probably everyone knows, you can email it. Amy thinks she can email it. Ms.
Okay.
Kowalski. So, because I know Desiree wants to get amendments by Tuesday, so we're just sort of running short on time.
Okay. Mr. Dunbar?
The other major part of this alcohol tax work session for me is letting the administration answer questions as to whether or not each one of the things they are proposing for 2022 fit in the legal requirements of the ballot initiative. And like Ms. Davidson, I'm worried because Tuesday is when we need the amendments. And so I suppose if folks are going to do a work session on Monday, I'm fine with that, but I think it has to be prior to Tuesday so that we can have that conversation, because if something we don't believe, if they don't answer us to satisfaction, this is actually can be done, then we're going to amend it out, you know.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Dunbar. I appreciate the comments of both you and Ms. Quinn Davidson, given your leadership position on the Budget and Finance Committee. I just checked with Ms. Camacho. If we held a work session on Monday, and I saw the meeting manager nod her head that would work for the administration, would that work for your schedule with amendments?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm just going to cross fingers that logistics-wise we can do that. And we've kind of strayed outside of our norms here on assembly comments, but I think it's been important. And actually, Mr. Weddleton is in the queue.
No, that's fine. I just want to make sure there's no work sessions on Tuesday because I'll be traveling.
Thank you, Mr. Weddleton.
And I think the work sessions for today I would like to have.
You would like to have today?
Well, at some point. I mean, I don't want to miss them.
Oh, understood.
Thanks.
Mr. Perez-Rudia?
Yeah, just a clarification that in preparation for a work session next week on the alcohol tax, if it's possible for the administration to distribute prior to that an accounting of the alcohol tax dollars, a specific accounting of that, and a rationale for where it's being proposed to spend in relationship to the ballot net measurement. So I think that if I'm happy with postponing it, but I think we need that information in order for that work session on Monday to actually be productive and for us to be prepared. So if that information can come prior to that work session, and the work session can be used to discuss it, I think it'd be a lot more productive.
Thank you, Mr. Perez-Rudia. Ms. Domboski, do you want to speak to that request?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through the Chair, Assemblymember Perez-Rudia, we're happy to do that. I'll get an email for you today, and that actually will give you more time to digest it over the weekend.
Right.
And so,
Thank you.
Okay, we have a couple other members in the queue. Mr. Rivera and then Mr. Peterson.
Thanks. So I just want to confirm on the record, is the request here in the discussion to cancel both of the work sessions that we have planned for later today?
So right now, thank you, Mr. Rivera. The discussion is regarding the alcohol tax work session and rescheduling it to Monday. We have already canceled the MCT work session, and then I believe Mr. Constant, can you confirm that the other work session then has?
Yeah, we canceled the homeless houseless lived experience advisory board for at the point when we were having planning discussions. We hadn't quite gotten the folks to be able to attend it. So the idea then is let's get them all in the room. So we need a little more time.
Thank you, Mr. Constant.
Okay. May I, Madam Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
Thanks. Yeah, I don't mind postponing then that work session. I will say there were some community organizations that were planning on attending and we're looking forward to the discussion, but I will just let them know that we are going to reschedule it. Thanks.
Okay, actually, Mr. Dunbar wants to respond.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just looking at next week's calendar, we typically have work sessions on. The dog agrees. Yeah. We typically have work sessions on Friday. However, Friday is packed right now with the joint meeting with the school board and with another long work session on the amendments. I would suggest that we sort of do a work session, consider other days. We don't typically have work sessions for the work sessions. That would just be my recommendation. We have it scattered throughout the week, although that's not normal. I think it's necessary given the sort of crunch we're in before the 23rd.
Understood. Thank you, Mr. Dunbar. Mr. Peterson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And my schedule is pretty full on Monday. I would doubt that I would be able to come to that work session. I would prefer that we did the work session on the alcohol tax today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson, for the reminder that the Alaska Municipal League and other affiliate organizations are meeting next week here. That said, I believe we do need to cancel today's alcohol tax work session. And so it's with mixed feelings that I let everyone confirm that your afternoons are now free of work sessions.
All right.
And so that, we went around the room with comments. That brings us to adjournment.
So moved.
We are adjourned. Thank you all for participating.